Welcome to Pardon My Hunch, the show about the real decisions we make in business and in life, and the gut instincts we trust or sometimes wish we had not ignored. As always, the show is brought to you by the Vibe Method. That is a process we use and teach innovators and marketers to help them nail a really unique customer story and prove it will sell before they take it live and before they build. To find out more about how we can help you nail a killer vibe before you take something live for your product or brand, you can go to gohunch.com. Now let's get on with the conversation. Today I have a guest, Sal Rosenbaum. Welcome, Sal.
Thank you.
Saul. I'm starting to call you Sal now. I don't know why that is. I think it's all of our sports talk. It's making me like Sal, Saul, not Sal.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't know why. Saul Rosenbaum is here. He is an engineer, but also a business owner and a consultant. You are the owner of SL Consulting. Is that correct? Did I
Yep.
get that right?
SR Engineering and Consulting.
Did I say SL? All right, we're starting this
Yes.
over. On today's show, my God, edit that out. Edit that out. All right. On today's show, we have Saul Rosenbaum. Saul Rosenbaum is not only an engineer, but also a business owner and consultant. You're the owner of SR Consulting. I'm making sure I say that correctly. Saul
Yes.
Rosenbaum. Thanks for being here today, Saul.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Give us a little commentary on what you do at your firm. And I know you have other ventures too, as far as your mentorship of engineers and all the things. So give us a little tour of kind of what you guys are all about at your consulting firm.
Right. So in short, we operate at the intersection of the engineering and the mortgage finance world. So a lot of our projects are energy engineering analysis for various green loan programs for people investing in properties where the loan program requires them to put on a certain amount of solar, to have certain energy efficiency threshold. And we do the engineering analysis to make sure that they meet those thresholds or tell them what they need to do. We do engineering review of property condition assessments. We also do some ghost writing of those reports. We work on various sustainability reporting and certification processes and things in that nature. We've also worked on some of the municipal energy and retro commissioning projects, like in New York City. There's a local law 8797 that put a lot of requirements on building owners from the energy side of things.
Oh, okay. I bet it's got to be a huge need since everyone's trying to be more sustainable, be more energy efficient, all the things, or probably has to on the commercial side. I imagine there's like requirements and all the things. I would assume. I know nothing about the energy world, but I would assume there's a big need for help in this space.
Yes, there is a big need, although I don't really market us in that way. A lot of our programs, for example, we'll work with the SBA has a green loan program. This is it's a way for access to capital to go beyond their general threshold. So the reason why somebody comes to us is not because they decided, hey, solar is the greatest thing ever and we want to be sustainable. They're saying, okay, we need the access to capital. The program requires us as part of our general commercial project. So it's not strictly a renewable project. They need to meet these thresholds. And so I like to always sell the projects from the financial side of things, from the ROI side of things, because that really speaks to people on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter whether you think climate change is this existential issue or you think it's a big hoax. Either way, we can help on your project, and I can show you why it's viable. That's sort of where we come into play.
Yeah, that's cool, and especially if there's like funding available, because you mentioned like an SBA like program, right? For
right.
That.
So that one specifically happens to be the same. It's an SBA 504 loan that people use to buy buildings or construct a building for their business. They can buy the building as long as they meet certain energy thresholds as part of that project. So that's why I say it's not a green loan specifically. It's a loan that includes a green component. And so our energy engineering analysis really tells them what they need to do.
Okay. Do most of them, if you're looking for like new property, et cetera, do they know this is something they're intending, or is it something like they discover this opportunity, or is it a mix?
It's a mix. Some of it, from the business side of things, it depends on how good my outreach is, because the people who are working on those programs, if somebody comes to them and says, oh, I really want to do this program, but I'm maxed out. If they don't know that the green program exists to even use that option, then we lose out on that. So we do a lot, it's a lot of outreach and then a lot of straight energy engineering just to see, what they need to do.
Yeah. We were chatting earlier, and I'm now also like, kind of making an assumption and hearing you talking about your outreach. I bet you've learned a bunch about marketing effectiveness and like how to build a business. And I know you mentioned earlier, like
Yes,
that part excites you. I feel the same way. Like
I love
the
it.
most fun part of my day is when I can work on like how can I grow the business? How can I get better at attracting the right, the best fit people, all those things. Like it's fun. It's challenging. So
Right. But it's not something that a lot of engineers know how to do, and not something that a lot of engineers want to do. So to some degree it is a niche, but I think that it is, a missing thing that if there are engineers who are in a role where they can get more client facing activities, they should take advantage of it because if you can get good at some of the business development side of things, it just opens up, even if you want to stay in the engineering world, it just opens up a lot of positions or roles that you never knew existed before.
yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, my gosh, even people like me who have grown up in the marketing innovation world, and like we live and breathe how to attract people, right? It's hard to do for
Right.
yourself too. So even if you're not like like a highly technical, in a field that's completely different ballpark of how to do marketing, like it's hard to do for oneself also, right? Like some of the things I teach
Right.
my clients and help our clients like figure out a unique angle to figure out a way to attract people. You got to get rid of distractors. It's like I don't always practice what I preach just because I'm so close to my own business, right? Like it's tough.
Right.
It'd be tough.
But I think, oh, no, it is tough. And it's also, I think it's something that a lot of people don't even try to do because they don't see the need. They just go, okay, I'm not going into marketing. I'm not going into business development. So they never think to build that skill. But the fact is, even if you're in a let's say you stay in a strict engineering role, at some point, you're going to sell your project, up the line, where you're met and say, hey, this is what we want to do. So just the process of sort of pushing your idea forward, that's sales. Like it's
Yeah.
internal sales, it's marketing, it's getting people on your side, even if it's not outreach to a new client, it's not specific business development. Like those skills help you regardless of where you are.
Oh my gosh, no doubt. A million years ago, I was a nurse before I found my way into like product management, marketing, and all the things. And I remember when I was like segueing over, I had an old mentor tell me she was talking about transferable skills, right? And like you look at a job opportunity, you look through the bullets, and you're inclined to just assume you decide maybe you don't qualify because you don't have the exact
Right.
a bullet, what's a qualification isn't exactly like your experience. It's just like next time they ask you if you ever sold anything, talk to them about how to convince a 7-year-old to let you like
Right.
wash out their burn, like let you do
Yeah,
something very painful
that
for them.
works.
I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Like, hey, most of my clients, like they work in these big corporate companies where they're having to sell in something. And I mean, I've done that and I've sold a service and to these companies. I'm telling you, I think the internal sell in is more challenging in so many ways than just trying to sell a new product. Like I think trying to get people to people's buy-in when they have all these agendas and all the politics. I mean,
True.
like I've had client friends who are thinking about leaving, being on the manufacturing side or being on the brand side and like going out and kind of doing what I do, which is sell the service to that kind of company. And they like, well, I've never sold before. I'm like, oh, holy cow. Tell me about a time when you had to convince, somebody more senior than you internally on an idea or to like invest in something. And I'm like, okay, use that story because that is good. That is hard. And that's good selling.
Right.
I mean, like it is. We all have to sell. I mean, even if you sell your spouse or partner in on something, that can be tough too.
No, it's true. No,
Strategery.
no, no, it's true. I mean, listen, it's a matter of, like, are you like outwardly in sales where like that's specifically your job title, or are you just trying to convince somebody of something, on a smaller basis? That's sales. Like it's all the same in the end of the day.
Yeah, there can be a whole training on that, just like persuasion in general.
Well, there
Um,
is.
I'm sure you have the book, right? Like you probably your book.
Which book? Which book? No, you know what? Dan Pink has a good book on that. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about this before. about, oh yeah, Dan Pink, To Sell is Human. That's a book. I recommend that
His
to.
stuff is awesome anyway. Just like
Yeah,
I'm trying to
he's
get people. Yeah.
he's very interesting. He's very interesting. He really
Yeah.
puts it. He like the way he like formulates it and puts his material together. Excellent. But yeah, no, he talks about that a lot. Where everybody is in sales. It's just a matter of to what degree you really are.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I haven't read anything from him in a long time, but I guess all the behavioral science guys are so it's fascinating. And it's all so basic, but some are more dense and academic and some lean more practical. The more practical and full of stories they are, the more the
Yeah,
more I'm
that's
likely to pay attention.
no,
Yeah.
that's what Dan Pink is great with that. He's
Yeah, I
really
agree.
really one of my favorite nonfiction authors.
All right. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
It's kind of it's my favorite question because it's sort of what this is not sort of it's what this whole podcast is about, which is, kind of collecting stories from people about trusting or ignoring their instincts or both. But I'm wondering, it doesn't matter when in your career journey, that something comes to mind for you when I ask this, but like a time when you felt a pull, when you had to make a call or a decision, right? And for the business, for your career, and you felt like your instincts pulling you in a direction, and if you followed it or dismissed it, either way, I'm curious if something comes to mind you could talk about.
Right. So I think let's go back to when I started this firm
Okay.
because this was not a purposeful thing. I did, I've kind of come to this point where like I said, I love the business development. I love the business side of it. I enjoy still working on the technical side of things, but I did not plan to do this. So going back like 18 years ago, you know, as a family, we decided, okay, you know what, we're going to be moving. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm not even looking for a new job yet because the one I currently, I had a job working as business development for a district utility company. And I know that when they were looking for somebody, they had a very hard time finding somebody who had the engineering skills, but then also could, do the business development and go out to the clients, meet with them face to face, and kind of have that combination within one role. And because the position was open for a while. And so when I was leaving, I don't know, maybe it was, I was young and naive. My expectation was, okay, my boss definitely is not going to keep me around full time, but he's going to, let's just kind of come to an agreement. I'll do half the work, you know, and he'll pay me half the money and whatever. It'll be like an easy landing. And, you know, when he was like, no, sorry, we can't do that. I'm looking at it like, wait a second. I know how long it took you to find me. You're
Right.
going to now
Yeah.
have this, you're going to take all of my work on your shoulders just because I can't do all of it remotely. Okay, so let me do half of it. What do you care? But, you know, I honestly, it probably didn't, it probably didn't work for them, from a business
I was
standpoint,
saying, was the
whatever.
hang up some sort of like
I
internal, we
don't,
don't do this for other employees, so we can't do it for you.
yeah, yeah, whatever. But,
Yeah.
in my mind, I thought it completely made sense. And so I didn't plan for that at all. And so then I come to this point where, okay, now I have all these engineering skills. And I just kind of started reaching out to, some other engineers. And that's when I just started up. It originally started out as, hey, an old friend of mine, I would go in to a project, I'd be on site with him remotely. I would come and do all my engineering calculations, work on these projects. And it started slowly building up, but it was almost this accident, like, oh my gut, what was wrong? Because I thought I'd have, you know, 6 to 12 months of, okay, whatever, who cares? But yeah, that didn't happen at all. So it's funny because then I started at the same time at the engineering company. And then I also started doing some handyman work just because I enjoyed doing it. And I started building both businesses together for
Okay.
it was a while. But yeah, no, there was a point where I realized, okay, this is just ridiculous. I have to choose a pathway, and it was probably almost like 4 years into doing the business that I said, okay, I'm really going all in with this business. And so the original gut instinct was wrong because I thought I thought that, hey, I have easy landing and I'll find another full time job. I wasn't trying to do my own thing, and it turned into it. And listen, looking back, I'm happy with it, but it was not certainly not what I planned.
Did anybody tell you along the way that, hey, it's gonna be hard to do two things. You gotta pick one, or was this just something you like discovered? It became
No, nobody.
obvious.
No, nobody. I don't remember somebody telling me, but I think that as you're doing, you know what it was? I realized that to build a business, if I want to scale either one of them, and I didn't really know which one at the time, honestly. And it's weird because here you have somebody with, good engineering degrees, licensing experience, whatever. And I was thinking, oh, maybe whatever. Like, hey, if a handyman business is going well, I'm okay working in the blue collar trades. That's great. But regardless of which business I ended up doing, and I knew that okay, you got to hire somebody else. You got to have some people with you. You can't. The only way it worked having two businesses was that if I had a bigger project on one, I just sort of stopped the other one for a week, and I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, that sounds cool. I just won't accept any clients this week. But you can't do that when other people are depending on you. And so I realized even at the time, and I'm sure we can get into this as well. It wasn't until years later that I actually hired, my first full time engineer. But I realized that to grow, I had to give one up because you can't. Other people can't have that craziness. For me, it was fine. I just decided, hey, this week is, if you have a big painting job, okay, then I'm doing no engineering, and the next week I'm doing a lot of engineering. Anybody who calls for jobs, you just tell them you're not available. But you know, once you have other people depending on you, you can't pull that sort of craziness.
Well, you mean like another employee, right? Like, or
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can't, because financially it was working out fine. I was making money, and it was good, good income, but it was too weird of a schedule for anybody else to put up with it.
Well, and also if they're an employee of the engineering consulting side of things and you're focusing over on handyman work, then you're not bringing more business
Yeah,
in for them, right? I mean, that's
right.
what I think about too with my
Yeah,
bunch of folks.
yeah, but I don't know. At that point, I never thought about it. I wasn't thinking about that. 'Cause that's certainly the work. How would the workflow come in? I've put a lot more, focus on that years later. At the time, no, it was more base value of just, hey, this I work a crazy, schedule of bouncing back and forth, but it's for me. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Putting on somebody else, it's not going to work out well.
Yeah. Tell me about like I'm going back to an earlier conversation. You was talking, well, this is back, doesn't matter. I'm curious, you mentioned a turning point when you were doing outreach.
Right. So I did have, it's interesting. I did have, I think this story you're talking about. I had a client. I was working with him, and it was things are going well, and he, like I still talk to him to this day. We're talking, 15 years later, but he was a small firm doing energy engineering projects, and he was also growing. And I realized that we're working on this project, and he starts telling me about like the growth plans, what they're doing, and I realize he wants to hire somebody full time. I don't want that job. I don't want that job because I wanted to have my own firm and I want to have my own autonomy for my own business. But if I don't take that job, somebody else will, which of course, he needs somebody there full time. And then all the projects are going to go to that new guy because of course you got to keep your full-time employee, you know, busy,
Yeah.
busy first. So that's when I was sort of like looking around and I started reaching out. And this is, one of the things we discussed is sort of like networking for the sake of networking. I actually was like talking to just different people in the energy engineering world, different projects, and I was looking to kind of stay in. It's more like energy, large scale energy efficiency projects is what we were doing back then. And I was just like reaching out to different people. I wasn't really looking into new markets, but I found this company that was doing some energy engineering projects, and so I cold call, I reached out, ended up I got a meeting with the president. I'm talking to him, and so he said, he goes, listen, we do have projects like that, and so we'd love to have you work with us, which we ended up doing. He's like, but have you ever thought about property condition assessments and doing engineering review? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like and then he starts telling. I only looked at this one little service line they were doing. I didn't look at the whole business where they were doing it, but they were in the due diligence world of commercial real estate. And basically, it's like when you buy your home, everybody's familiar with a home inspection. This is the whole side of it that goes similar idea, but for commercial properties. And there's a lot of standards that go on with that. There's a lot of engineering review, but it was a part of the world that I didn't know, engineering world that I didn't know existed. And so once I made that connection and we started building up with that guy, building up new projects, that's really the first time that my firm started to morph into, okay, we're doing energy engineering projects within the commercial real estate world. So it was all projects within that world, not strictly, hey, we're trying to save energy, but it had something to do with your financing, with your mortgage approach, with your future capex plans of everything, kind of looking at that. And so that's what we've been playing for 14, 15 years within that commercial real estate world.
Wow. Gosh, if that's not a lesson in make sure
It's
you're
all
having real
crazy.
conversations and stay in touch with people, even if you're not, if it's like, sort of just trying to get a sense of what the market going on in the market, like even if it's just a generic reason, I mean, you never know where it will lead, especially if it's, I've had one, I've a client who it's like, well, when we do this, and they're like, okay, have you ever thought about doing this over here? Like they're like associating or making a connection with a
Right.
different problem to solve that they see us being able to solve, even though it's not the way we communicate we do, which is pretty cool. I mean, when somebody leans in and then goes wherever they want to go with what they're interpreting about your offer, like you got to listen to that, even if it's like totally out there and you're interested in it. You never know where it could go. I mean, it's like doing
No,
marketing
that's true.
research, it's like listen to what people how they react to their perceptions of you could lead you somewhere new and exciting. I think it's super cool. I mean, that's part of why I'm doing this podcast. Like I
Right. No,
love connecting and I love sharing and hearing stories. And you never know where it will go for someone listening. But also, honestly, for me, like I've made some great, gotten some ideas and like some weird join ups have come out of this. It's like just I've been under a rock for too
right.
long, as I've
Right.
told you.
But but it's also funny because sometimes, like people will send the ideas to you, they'll talk to you about something. And in the time, really just isn't right, but
Yeah,
it plants that seed. There's one of
100%.
the, after opening my firm, I then, we can discuss this as well. But there was a few years there where I kind of went for a full-time job, kind of closed the firm, put it on the back burner, and then came back to it over the past 6 years. Um, but one of the seeds that somebody planted with me was about, it's a current service line that we offer, through the SBA. And one of the reasons why, like when she brought it up to me, she goes, "Hey, can we do this?" And I looked at it, I go, "Oh, we can do it. This is not about capability, but you're not going to want to do it because it's a completely different, set of clients that you have to do it for. And so you're going to pivot all of your outreach now
Yeah.
needs to pivot elsewhere, and you're probably not going to want to do that." And so she looked at it, she goes, "Okay, that makes sense." But like when people just bring up these ideas, like you sort of never know where that's going to be. I put that flyer aside, and then all of a sudden, like 4 years later, I'm like, "Wait, what was that program?" And now it's one of our big service lines. We do it all the time. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've worked with startups, and I come from big company world and it's just so fun because
Right.
they're so passionate and every like they're all the things we want in every client. Like their sleeves are rolled up and passionate. Um, and I've been told like, hey, could you offer this for service? And like the problem is that the mindset they're in and they don't feel the same pain point that a bigger company feels. So it's like I'd have to completely change,
Right.
what we do and the model's different and they're not gonna have it's just a totally different, but it doesn't mean you wouldn't go there, but recognizing what you'd have to change
Right.
to go there. Well, I could do it, but like, I don't know if it makes sense or not.
Yeah.
Hey, I love
Listen,
listening to how other people react to what, or what they suggest. And I don't mind when I just got an email, which was pretty cold outreach email. I'm on someone's, list and, it was a very like, hey, I've got this new job. This is what we are. I'm at a new company now. We may have met at some point, and that's why you're on my list. He's like, I just want to let you know what we offer. I'm like, I love hustle, but also just very genuinely, not trying to like pretend you're trying to teach
right.
me something, and then like throw in an offer. But you're actually just saying, hey, I'm new here and this is what we are. I was like, good for you. And I was actually kind of intrigued with some of the examples of here's some of the things that we do. There was one thing in particular that caught my eye, but I also was just like, thanks for just being genuine. That and you when you we are he's trying to sell his services. Like it's okay that it's not this, it's just a direct and clear, hey, I got this thing to sell in
But
case you're interested. That can work much better
right,
than the 72
yeah,
attempts to like act like you know me, pretend, try to catch my attention and pretend you know me. I mean, this was guy like, I don't think we know each other, but you're on my list, or maybe somehow we work together. It was cool. I was like, I like to just be
right.
direct, have integrity.
Yes, yes. But some of those people, you I'll get some of those emails once in a while, and I'm looking at the way they word things. I'm like, wow, you obviously just took like my
Oh,
full LinkedIn profile, shoved it in somewhere.
right,
So I always tell whenever they send me that some of those people, like, listen, if it's a genuine outreach, you're saying, hey,
right.
just want to send you some information, it's fine, and you're not pestering me. I'm cool with that. If you want to have a
Yeah,
discussion about a topic, because I think if you have a genuine connection, it doesn't become transactional. I'm good with that. But I do get people who will send me a message like, we are really impressed with what you're doing at SR
oh,
Engineering and Consulting.
yeah,
And so I always respond to them. I'm like, can you just tell me what impressed you? And they're like, well, just all of what you do. I'm like, no, no, no.
everything.
You told me you were impressed. Just tell me
You
something.
are precious. Oh,
like, like, I mean, listen, my grandmother said I was the best engineer, but like, I don't expect you to come on.
yeah, I don't even
Like,
mind
yeah,
automated outreach. I don't mind like some automation, but
but be
like,
honest about it.
but
Yeah.
it's just I've done it
Yeah.
and I've said, hey, just let you know, this is part of an automation. You're getting this because of X. Like I still don't love it, but I'd rather be honest about
But
it.
at least you're being,
Seriously, the ones that like tries to seem if you're pretending or posing or
yes,
your ulterior motive is so obvious,
exactly.
like just come on. But I'd rather somebody just say like, hey, you're getting this because I've got this new offer in case you're interested, without even like,
Right.
awesome messaging about, be even one step better if they maybe led with the problem they think I might have. But like either way, I appreciate the genuineness of not
Yes.
trying to like, you know, act as if you're impressed by something. I met messages, there's something in my profile that's easily retrievable in like LinkedIn Sales Navigator and can be used as a field and plopped into an email, and they'll get it wrong. They're like, at this company, and then it's like this assumption you're doing X. I'm like, come on. I
Right.
almost want to say to the person
Well,
who's buying this service and
yeah.
as is doing this, like, do you know this is damaging your brand? I mean, come on.
Wait, have you ever gotten one though where it says like, dear, and it has like brackets, insert name here? I'm like,
Yes. Yeah.
wow. Like, I mean, at least if you're gonna, try to scam me with like some sort of AI, you're, pulling through my whole thing, you can't pull my name off of there. Like,
Yeah. There's a little glitch here. Your list did
yeah, no, I
not
mean,
fill.
no, I'm very big on just networking for the sake of networking, meeting people. A lot, like a lot of my outreach is like I've given a lot of just informational presentations about various programs to those people who could be offering it, and then hey, this way when a project comes up, if it comes down, if they have any questions, if somebody wants to know, hey, what are the ins and outs of this program, they can reach out to me just from an informational sense. Obviously, like, yes, we all want to have more projects. Like, that's not this big hidden secret. We're not in business
Right.
for the
I mean,
just
yeah.
yeah, we want to have successful businesses, and that's fine to do, but don't do it like, don't try to be slimy with it and like try to just keep shoving everything down people's throats. Like, just be open about it, talk to them, have a connection, and then if it works, it works. People will come back to you.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I mean, I'm like the flip side of that is like somebody who wants to be annoyed anytime someone's trying to sell to them. I'm like, oh my gosh, just go. We're all trying to
Right.
sell something, It's like,
Right.
come on.
It
Okay, fine.
well,
Just
depends.
say you're not interested. I don't need your like diatribe. Like, you obviously have too much time on your hands anyway. If you're trying to
Right.
tell
Well,
me I
just
shouldn't be
but
trying to
that
sell you something.
unless they don't, unless you say, hey, listen, thanks, I'm not interested, and they keep pushing and pushing, then you're like,
Oh,
okay,
no, 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 no. This
that
is like
that
there are
that that.
people.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but to
People who,
start off,
yeah.
just say no, thank you. Just say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. I don't want
I
to
mean,
come back after I
I
say
do that
no.
all the time though. People, like, especially on LinkedIn, people connect, like, hey, want to jump on a call? I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I don't have time to jump on a call with everybody. Like, that's like, how much
Yeah.
free time do you think I have?
I used to, back in the early days of LinkedIn, I would not ask somebody to connect unless we had met because that was when it was really just like about a networking career type of site. Now I'm more open to it, for whatever reason, for
Right.
sure.
So
But not jumping on a call right away. No,
no, I could.
at least let's have an open conversation. If I respond and I'm intrigued with something, maybe I don't
Right.
like push. I don't want to be pushed. Nobody wants a pushy salesperson.
No, but I do think, listen, I think a more open approach with LinkedIn because my feeling is most, some people will be like really good, connections for whatever reason, informational, business,
Yeah.
mentoring, whatever that is. Some people will be, or I say probably most people are almost neutral. Like they'll sit around, you'll never see them. Once in a while, they'll post something interesting that you think is good. Once in a while, they'll like your post or have a comment. That's great. And then there's that handful that are like, complete nutbags, and those people, if you get them, then all you got to do is just block them and just unfollow. But
Yeah.
I'd rather
Well,
just say, hey, you know what? If you seem like, a genuinely normal person, I don't care if you're in my exact business, whatever it is, I'll accept the friend request. And I might
yeah.
even reach out to you. If I see somebody who crosses my profile, looks, marginally interesting, I send them the invite. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like,
Yeah.
if they're that small percentage, that's crazy. All right. So then I unfollow them later on.
Unfollow. There are definitely like some people who they've posted something. I'm just like, oh my God, yes, I love that so much. Like I just can't, I have to be connected just because like whatever they
Yeah.
said. So there's a lot of really there's this ton of crap content. And I'm not just talking about AI slop, which everyone is writing AI to talk about AI slop. But anyway, I'm talking about
Right.
like there's a lot of
But
bad, but
there
there's some
is
good.
good.
There's some really
There
like
is good.
including
There is no.
yours.
Well, no, I
Um,
appreciate that. Listen, anybody who's
yeah,
listening, reach out to me. Like I said, I'm genuine. But what I think is funny is people who take the time to comment on something that they don't like, but all you did is tell the algorithm that, hey, I want to engage with this stuff, and they're showing you more of that.
yeah.
Just if you don't like it, just either unfollow that person or just scroll by. Like, why do you take the time to post?
Well, I mean, people who are negative in general on social media, it's kind of like,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, look
unfortunately.
at this post. And then the first comment is, somebody naysayer. I'm like, okay, never mind. I actually like felt some
Right.
joy from
No,
that.
see, listen. I like when people just there are plenty of things that I'll post, and somebody like, no, 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 you have it all wrong, and they'll have a discussion about it. I'm
Oh, that's
cool with that.
great.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. Like, you want to go back and forth. We can have a difference of opinion. That's fine. Um, but if you're just like sitting there, like trashing this, trashing that, like, you know,
Come on, man. Now
yeah,
I'm talking
I'm
more of
I'm not
like
here for
not
that.
LinkedIn, but not
Yeah,
business stuff. But these people that just like they can't wait to like be crabby.
yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
Unfortunately,
Well, hey, I'm gonna wrap us up because I could just keep
okay.
chatting with you forever. But so in case, because I know you have a whole mentorship program for engineers too. So for anyone that wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, you can certainly find me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best. Sol Rosenbaum. That's SOL Rosenbaum. Is definitely the easiest way to find me. You did mention the mentoring. I do very strongly believe in mentoring, especially younger engineers. And I'm actually the Association of Energy Engineers has a program they've been doing. We're now in the third year, so I've been very active in that. I wish I was more active with my website. It's kind of been put to the side a little bit as I'm more busier with the firm. But if there are younger engineers out there that need some guidance, need some help, I'm certainly here to help sort of pass along some of the guidance and advice I got in my career.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that. As a reminder to everyone listening, this show is brought to you by the Vibe Method. That's our process that we use and teach innovators and marketers to help nail their unique customer story. Prove it will sell before they take it to the world. So to find out more about how we can help you can nail a killer vibe before you go live, you can go to gohunch.com. The link to all that's in the show notes. And then until next time, always remember the worst thing you can do with a hunch is ignore it.